Hey everybody, good evening. Welcome back. I'm remote again tonight. But thanks for joining, everybody. Hope you had a chance to check out what we discussed on Monday. We're diving into Project 4, which is the REST API for our airline application. And so then what we covered on Monday were sort of the very fundamental pieces, parts of the REST API application, of the web application. We saw there was this client and the server that communicated with each other. We saw how to use a debugger to walk through the servlet, which is the Java code that serves that responds to REST API requests. We then also talked about how it's tested. And we saw that we could use mock objects to have true unit tests for the servlet, which involves some kind of, I don't know, complex, or at least it has some API, has some interfaces with some heft to them, has a number of, the HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response, are these kind of big, very general purpose interfaces, objects, and we saw how we could use mock objects to work with those in and make a true unit test. The reason that I start with that is because, I mean, gosh, it's a brand new code base. It's doing something very different from what you've seen before. Want to make sure that everybody had a good introduction to it. Um, and then tonight, what we'll do is we'll get more experience with that code base by refactoring it to look more like an airline application. We had things in the out of the box dictionary application, like a text dumper and a text parser and a pretty printer, and those though just take the dictionary type, so it's a map of string to strings. Uh, for what we before what we want to do in the airline application, of course, is use the airline classes. And so then that's kind of what we'll talk about tonight. And my intent is that I hope this gives you a good indication of what you'll need to do in your project. Because you'll be doing the same thing. As a matter of fact, feel free to take the code that I wrote tonight and move it directly into yours if that helps you get started with Project 4. But before that, I want to open up the floor for anything you'd like to discuss. Does anybody have any observations they'd like to share? Anything that's occurred to them over the last couple of days that they'd like to bring here at the start? Whether it's a question, whether it's some feedback, whether it's an idea, or just something you'd like to discuss. Okay. Well, hearing nothing, let's dive into it. So let's see here. This is a reminder. I'll show the list of off again. So, over on the right, I run Maven W Jetty :run, which starts up Jetty, which uh, is the web application server. It is the web component that hosts the REST API application. And so it's sitting there running in the background, and there are two primary ways to interact with it. The first is through the web browser, because here again, all we're doing is responding to HTTP requests. So when I make an HTTP request to this slash airline, it serves up an index.html file, which is here in the project. Let's see here, it's under, sorry, airline web main web app index.html. So here it is, the this HTML file, which has a bunch of HTML forms. I don't know if you're familiar with those or not. Um, uh, but those will make those will make HTTP requests. There'll be GET requests for this flights action, this flights part of the URL. See, so saw a question come in from Adam. Is port 8080 just the default you are using? Oh yeah. I'm glad that you asked about that. So for Jetty for kind of Java programs in general, the port 8080 is kind of the conventional default port. I guess it's the default port for Jetty and for Tomcat for HTTP. It is the HTTP protocol. For production systems, you'd use port 80, but because port 80 is protected on or is requires additional permissions to work with on most systems, 8080 is something that anybody, any user can run on a system. So then they just choose that by default. But yes, there's a way, and actually I talk about it in the assignment. You can use a different port, which you might have to if you're doing development or you're testing on the PSU machines because if some other student is using port 8080 for their program, things will get really messed up if you try to use it also. Did I answer your question, Adam?
Actually, I had more questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Is how many processes per port can you put? I've did like Kubernetes clusters, and they all communicate over an internal network. And
Hmm.
usually they keep one application per set of like 3 to 8 ports, and then how many can actually? What's the bandwidth that you can actually communicate with over this
Well,
HTTP request port?
yeah, I mean, that's okay, so there's two questions there, or there's two things I want to talk about there. So, I mean, there's Kubernetes and how it handles all of its networking. Um, yeah, that's sort of up to Kubernetes to control, and you can provide configurations. You have to provide configurations to make sure that everybody talks to each other. That's really like a virtual network. Um, and then if you're talking more though about like a physical network or the internet itself, things like bandwidth, there are a lot of things to well, if you're talking about raw network bandwidth, yeah, there are a number of factors to take into account. But here again, there's really not a predefined like as I'm developing the application itself doesn't really influence the network bandwidth. It would certainly influence how much data is returned over the network. And of course, then the usage of the web application would determine how much data is sent in and maybe how much data goes back and forth. I'm not sure that answered your question though.
I guess it's fine for like a simple app, right? That's just gonna have
And this is
one
a simple
user.
app. Yes.
Anything scaling
Oh, and by user,
is,
do you mean operating system user that runs the application, or do you mean like application user? Sorry, because I thought initially
I
you were
guess
talking
both
about,
would be competing for the resources, right? Because the application user, depending on how much they're asking
yeah.
from the application,
Okay.
you could like
Yes, I see
shut
that
it
as very
down.
different. Yeah. So there is the operating system user that runs that runs the application, right? You log in as, somebody or, every like in Unix, every process runs on behalf of a certain user. There's that user and of course a port can only, only one process at a time can listen on a socket on a particular port, right? And that's why things like Kubernetes then has all the virtual networking behind the scenes to like get all those processes to get all the containers or whatever to talk to each other behind the scenes.
That
Um,
makes more sense. Single process per port.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
and then there's that virtual network that does all that,
Did you
right?
cover that in the last class? Single process per port restriction?
No, 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 I
That's what I thought.
didn't. Yeah, no,
Okay.
there's I
I was just curious.
I don't, yeah, I mean, I try to keep the sort of the networking theory light for this course. But yeah, that's a good point. And then now when it comes to application users, one important thing to consider as you are designing and developing your application is going to be the load on the system, and that whether that is a very few users, putting a certain amount of data through it, or maybe any users. And you know what, I could go on about this, but I think I'll say there are a lot of things to take in consideration. And as we talk about code refactoring and there's emergent architecture and taking making sure that that you are appropriately investing in scalability at the right time. are all important things to take in consideration as you are working with others to design and build software. So all very relevant things in general, but as you point out, this application really simple. So if anybody's like, oh, I need to like have a whole bunch of threads running in the background to manage 1,000 users, I'm not going to test your code with 1,000 users, 1,000 clients. It's going to be pretty straightforward.
Okay, thanks.
It is getting really dark here. Sorry, I'm going to like turn on a light. There we go. I don't know. Oh, no. I'm about to be raptured here, so sorry about that. It's right over my head. Um, anyway, so we've got the application here. So we're running it over here in Jetty on the right. And what it does out of the box is that it has a simple dictionary application. And so then you can get all the words and definitions in the dictionary. There aren't any. So we'll go back. And then we can put in some examples. And these are all these are all making HTTP requests back to the servlet and it's handling it appropriately. So now when we look at all of yep, there's all that. And I think one of the things that I wanted to point out is that when you query the airline and its flights, what is returned back is this text format, which is basically a data exchange format. It's not necessarily meant to be human readable. There's a pretty printer that makes it human readable, and you see that when you invoke it from the command line with just these two parameters. You get so the pretty version, I guess, has a little arrow where the data, the computer readable one, the data exchange format has a colon. Um, of course, when we do this for the real airline application, the pretty version will be, likely very visually distinct from the text file format. So that's a brief review of what we had. Um, does this jog anybody's memory? Is there anything that folks would like to follow up on before we move on to maybe going back to the assignment and talking more about the details of the assignment? Nice. Okay. So going back to the assignment. Oops. There we go. So here are project 4, and we'll be taking this out of the box dictionary application and turning it into a web service for our airline, a REST API for our airline. This will give us an opportunity to give you an opportunity to build Java web application, and then also work with network communication using HTTP. So, as we saw, there's an airline servlet class, which is the start point and entry point for the REST API. And what a servlet does is it just responds to URL requests. That's sort of like abstractly what it does. And so then by responding to certain URLs with a certain syntax and format, you end up with a REST API. As you saw in the lecture, it's all about performing CRUD operations on a resource that is identified by URLs and operated on using the HTTP verbs. So here's ultimately what the project needs to do. So when you see when the servlet ought to respond to a URL like this, so /airline/flights, a question mark, airline equals name. When this URL receives a get, it ought to return all the flights in the airline with a given name, formatted using text dumper, right? And so this is your text dumper format that you created in project 2. Posting to this URL will create a new flight And all of the properties, all the attributes of that flight are specified as HTTP request parameters. So that's airline, the airline, which is the airline name, flight number, source, departure, it's depart, dest, and arrive. And by the way, the API must recognize these names, these parameter names for the attributes of an airline. Note that if the airline does not exist, a new one should be created. So this is how you operate on an airline in terms of getting all the information about the flights in an airline and then creating new flights in the airline. There is a new capability that is added here in Project 4, and that's the ability to query an airline. So if the URL, if the flight's URL has, in addition to the airline name, has a source and destination um, query parameters, a get to that URL will return all of the airline's flights, again, in the format used by TextDumper, that originate at the source airport and terminate at the destination airport. So this is some new logic that you need to add. This was not a capability that was there in Project 3. This is new to Project 4. So that's what the servlet needs to do, needs to respond to those things. Oh yeah, actually, important note here. Whereas the file-based projects, really like each file only held one airline. The servlet supports multiple airlines. So then, just as you change the name of the airline on the URL, and now you're talking about a different airline, and so then they should be maintained distinctly. So that is the airline servlet. There's also Project 4, which we saw out of the box manages the dictionary app. There's also the Project 4 client, which then as we saw last time, sends HTTP requests to the server, right? Communicates with the server. Uh, and the airline, sorry, yeah, the format, the syntax of the command line is pretty similar to Project 3. And again, dates and times should be in the Project 3 format, which is AM PM time, which is three command line arguments instead of two, including AM PM. So 12-hour time with AM PM. And so then those arguments are there, are those are the arguments. There's some different options. There's no text file uh, work in this project. As I mentioned last time, we've already demonstrated that you can work with files on disk, and instead, so there really isn't any data persistence in this project, and that's fine. That's no big deal, as long as your server doesn't crash. So don't call system.exit. But your server will stay running, and just like with the dictionary application, all the data lives in memory. It's just fine. Um, but you do use the text dumper and text parser for the data exchange between the client and the server. The options to the command line program, you specify the host, you specify the port. Optionally, you can provide a search. And when dash search is there, well, we'll see an example of it shortly, but all you need is the source and destination airport. We still have the dash print option that will print the description of the new flight that was added, and of course the README. And don't bother with like default values for host report or whatever. Even though they're optional, but if one appears, then the other one must appear. So it's invalid to have dash host without dash port and vice versa. So that's a description of the command line. I'll run through a couple examples and then take some questions. So to add a flight to the server, you'll want to specify the host and the port, and then all the information that you're used to from Project 3. So something like this. Oops, come on. There we go. Something like that is how you add a flight to the server. The search capability looks like this. So you have dash search, and then you have the name of the airline followed by the source airport code and the destination airport code. And Oh yeah, I guess there's also the ability to pretty print all the flights in an airline using this. Oh, and note that when you search, it's the pretty print output. So the user of the command line program always sees the pretty print version of the flights, even though the data exchange between the client and the server is the text file format, is the text format. Those are some examples of the command line before I talk about some error conditions and stuff like that. Though, is there anything more I can tell you about the the behavior of this program and how it's expressed in the REST API and in the command line tool? Okay. So, examples of error conditions. Something's wrong with the command line, something's wrong with the format, the date, time. If you can't establish connection to the server, there should be a nice message there. If the data that is passed to the REST URL is not formatted correctly, then that should be you should get an error there also from the REST API. And I think we kind of covered all of this stuff last time. Yeah, so this is all in there, as a reminder. But yeah, there's one more. There's another mention that the index.html file is there only for experimentation purposes. It is not submitted. You do not have to change it. So only if it helps you. Actually, the original index.html was actually contributed by a student. And so this person was very familiar with HTML, and they were like, "Oh wow, it would be it made sense to them to create it." I'm like, "Yeah, I can share it with other students. Thanks." And so I've got it there. It makes for an easier demonstration, but it's not something that's required for the program. And here again, we've got our architectural diagram that helps make sense of things. There's a couple more notes. If you're looking for examples of servlets, there's a family tree servlet that is sort of a richer servlet than what I talk about in the lecture, and so then encourage you to study that, to take some inspiration from it. Uh, we talked a bit about HTTP request helper last time, but just wanted to highlight it again that this is something that will make all of the low-level HTTP requests for you, so you don't need to deal with URL connection and reading from the streams or anything like that. So saying a little bit earlier tonight, you can run the Jetty server on a different port. And this is how you do it. When you run Maven Jetty Run, you provide the dash D for it defines a system property, defines a property, the jetty.http.port as another value. So like all eights. And again, if you are working on a machine that you're sharing with somebody else, like one of the CS department's Linux machines, it's safe is to do this. It's been a while, but several years back, um, a student like came to me, he's like, I don't know, my code was working just fine, and then like everything got messed up. It was so confusing, and it turns out that they didn't realize that the starting the Jetty server had failed because a different student was using port 8080, and so they tried to like basically have their client talk to some other student server, and like nothing was going right because the data formats were different and everything like that. Plus there were some bugs in there. Students one because it was still under development. So if you're going to work on a shared machine, choose a port, find a port that works for you. Let's see here. Once again, the POM web.xml files are not submitted by the submit script. And so then, well, you can submit resource files, but not like pom.xml and web.xml. So you really can't change those, which is fine because you shouldn't need to. Um, and then also please copy classes that you'll need, like your airline, your flight, like TechStumper, all those things, from Project 3 into the airline dash web project. You'll probably also need to copy like your README sort resources and things like that. And so then move all of those over. And this is actually like part of the assignment, right? Is like figuring out how to like take code in one directory and move it all safely into another. And then, then submit this project as submit.sh project 4 from one of the Linux machines from the CS department. And yeah, don't worry, it'll know that for project 4, it submits from the airline web directory, not the yeah, not the actually let me just make sure of that. Not the oh, not the regular old airline. Yay, good, I got it right. Okay, cool. So that's everything I think you need to know about Project 4. It's very different from the previous projects. And as you can probably imagine, requires a bit of research, of study, some trial and error as you really get your feet wet with working with the client and the server. But I think after what we do in the rest of the class tonight, you should have a nice head start, at least with the big concepts and how the code might be modified to be more of well, to be an airline application instead of a dictionary application. Before we move on to that, is there anything else I can tell you? Anything else you'd like to know about Project 4? Question checked. Oh, thanks, Yasmin, for saying that right now. Great. Excellent. Let's dive back into the code. So let's see here. I'm gonna stop the server from running because what we're gonna do now is we're gonna change a bunch of code. And we're gonna leverage the fact that there are existing unit and integration tests to keep things well, either to keep things running along the way or to at least get feedback on on what is what's working and what's not. So I'm going to run a Maven clean verify, Maven W clean verify, to just give us a baseline to make sure that everything's working as we expect. It is. Great. Now I'm going to look at my code. I'm going to go back here. And let's see here. Do I want to work with well, okay. So let's sort of like walk through the code and figure out what we ought to change. So instead of a dictionary, we'll definitely need to change something about this. We won't be storing strings. Actually, we'll be storing airlines. So yeah, so that'll have to change. And then here in the get, we'll have to do things like rename all these like word parameters because now instead of word parameter, we're going to want like airline name, like airline parameter, right? Because right now, basically what we do is instead of the word definition, we'll have like word will be the airline name, and then well, if we're going to do things like the source and destination, we'll have to add support for other parameters there. But I'm not going to implement all that tonight. Basically, what I think I'll call it successful if we can basically get everything renamed to be airline and start using the airline in like the text dumper and the text parser and the pretty printer and things like that. So here in the get, we'll want to I think I'm going to yeah, how all I'm going to do is just have it pretty print the contents of the airline, or actually not pretty print, return the text version and then have it pre-printed on the client. On the post here, we'll add a new flight, and probably I'm not going to implement all the parameters of the flight. Probably just start with number. Yeah, probably start with flight number, and that'll be good enough. And then we'll be able to see that in the text output. And of course, then we'll have to change some things about Project 4. You guys all know how to write command line parsers by now, so I'll probably just keep it simple. And it won't look exactly like this, but you'll figure it out. So let's get started on that. I think the first thing that I want to do some renaming here. I think that's really what I want to do. Yeah, so right now, oh, well, that would be interesting. So yeah, so instead of word and definition, I think I'm going to have this be airline name parameter. So I'm just going to use a bunch of renaming. So I'm going to say refactor, rename. So that is Shift F6. I'm going to start using that a lot more. So word parameter isn't going to be a word parameter anymore. It's going to be airline name parameter, and its value is going to be airline. And I'm going to, yeah, and I'm just going to name some stuff, rename some stuff. So instead of definition, it's going to be flight number parameter, and then this is going to be flight number. Oops, flight number. I think that was the right name for it. Yeah, flight number. And then it'll be watch, rinse, repeat for, exercise up to the student for you to implement all these other parameters. Um, and okay, yeah. And then do get, let's see here. Well, this is going to be airline name now. Airline name. And well, this is interesting. So here, okay, so this needs to be an error now. And I need to come back to that because I'll want to have a unit test for that. So it should like, yeah, it should, what was it? Is there get, oh yeah, missing required parameter. So let's see here. What's better for me to do? I should probably go write a test for this, but let me just quickly skim some other things. So instead of write definition, this is going to be, write airline, I guess. Yeah, write airline. And here, I'm going to make a note, um, that I need to replace this with a missing required parameter call. Because I think I want to update the tests first. Okay, and now instead of word, we're going to have airline name. And then if it's null, I think this is true. If I'm still trying to post, yes. And now instead of the definition, I'm going to call this the flight number string. Is going to be a string, and if it's missing, yeah, it should still get a missing requirement parameter. Um, nice. Here's okay. So I'm gonna keep this for us right now because I think, yeah, this is pretty good. I'm gonna say created flight, which actually this maybe isn't even necessary, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so then yeah, this is again, so this is the post, the do post creates a flight um by creating a new flight in the airline. Now, uh clearly we're not using the flight and airline classes yet. I'm gonna do that next, but I want to refactor this stuff first. Um yeah. Okay, so delete all airlines. And then I'll say all airlines deleted. So it's kind of interesting. We're going from modeling, a single dictionary to multiple airlines. And it's just kind of change in behavior. Okay, I think this is all can all stay the same because there's no mention about airline. Oh, this is interesting. Eventually, this will be returning an airline. But let's just call this airline and just rename this airlines. While we're in this intermediate state, it'll still be a map of string to string. We'll change it to a map of string to airline here in a little bit. If our airline equals null, then we'll return a 404. Otherwise, um, oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, we'll need to fix this later because we want our text dumper to take an airline instead of instead of a definition. But that's okay. Yeah, that'll change it quite a bit. Okay, write all dictionary entries. Oh, is this even used anymore? Oh, this will go away. Yeah, that'll go away. Okay. So then I'm just going to keep it that way so it sort of sticks out as a sore thumb, but this is code that's going to go away, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's only used in one place and that's going to go away. Okay. Get parameter, I think stays the same, nothing particular to dictionary here. Oh, get definition. Yeah, this will be get airline. And recall that when I rename this code here in the servlet, it changes all of the here on the test. It changes all of the occurrences of that. This is really nice because otherwise, your code wouldn't compile because there would be callers to the old method names to the new one and logs log. Okay, this looks good.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you already create the test for the multiple airlines implementation? And then I guess why wouldn't you just use a set? So are you going off the
Oh,
TDD path right now? The red green refactor path?
not quite yet because I haven't started writing tests, and really I haven't changed any of the functionality. We're still in a very intermediate state where all I'm doing is just renaming things so I can start using the vocabulary of an airline, even though that's true. Like what I'm storing is a map of string to string. They're not I haven't introduced the airline type yet or the flight type yet. Um, and you asked a good question. Could I use a set? Yes, I could. Because I'm looking it up by its name all the time. I don't know. Maybe it's a little. It seems to me a little bit more natural to use a map um, instead of a set. But we'll see how it evolves. Okay, writing an airline and oops, an airline to the HTTP response. If the airline parameter, yeah, great. Okay. Let's see here. Now that I've done all that aim refactoring, though, I want to do a clean verify again just to make sure that everything still compiles and runs as expected. Good, good, good. Okay. And yeah. So now I'm going to say rename methods and variables to indicate that they will work with an airline. I think I do want to, yeah, I do want to have a test because I do want to change this code because I kind of want to get rid of this write all dictionary entries because we don't need it, right? We don't dump all of the airlines that we manage. That's what this is equivalent of. So here I want it to be, yeah, I want there to be a like a missing parameter right here. So let's go back to the airline servlet test. And let's see here. Yeah, I guess I don't have a test for that. So I want to have a test that says uh missing airline name parameter return 412 error code, status code. Okay, so yeah, let's see how AI does mocking this out. Okay, it's probably not really necessary. Um, yeah, I don't know if we need all that. Yeah, now what do you think you're gonna do, huh? Huh? Yeah. So here I think we want to, I guess we don't have a we really not have a test that oh, here we go. Yeah, so we just need to yeah, we need to have some print writer. We don't really care what's written to the print writer, or do we? Well, yeah, I guess we kind of do. There is some error message there. Okay, so then I think I want to do this. I want this code there. So I don't think I'm just going to try it with a mock. Oops. This needs some exception or something. Yeah, it needs an exception. Good, good, good. Okay. So basically, yeah, this makes it like abundantly clear. I don't think I think by default get parameter will turn null, but this makes it very very explicit. Then we get a response, we get a mock print writer, and then here, let's see here. When we do get, I think there is, I think there is something written to the print writer, or at least there ought to be. And so then this will be not SCOK, but SC missing. Oops. What's a 412? I'm gonna go cheat and not cheat here. Okay, so what is it? SC precondition failed. Precondition failed, and I should probably say precondition failed. And here I'm doing TDD. I want to see this thing fail. And yeah, it definitely did. What did it say? It said, okay, wanted set status 412, but the actual one, yeah, the get writer actually says set status was 200. Okay, so now let's go change it. And so now here, where did I make that note? That was in the get, right? XY is here. I'm going to say missing required parameter, response, airline name parameter. That's right. But you know what? Oh yeah, oh, that's interesting. No, that's true. That's true. And you know what? I want to change this. No, that logic's fine. Okay, so now if I rerun it, oh, still failed. What didn't it like? Oh, oh, it was because, okay, so it turns out missing required parameter, it doesn't actually call set status. Instead, um, it's this thing. Okay, that's cool. I'm going to what? I want this code so I can look at it in the test. So I'm verifying the wrong things. Um, So let's see here. I want to verify that instead of set status, that send error is invoked with this and then also this message. Excuse me. And the parameter name here is airline servlet airline parameter. Sorry, I got a cough here. Ooh. And then with message. I think that's right. Nice. That gets us agreeing. So this is good. Now I've gone beyond refactoring. I'm not just refactoring because I'm changing the behavior of the program. And so actually, so maybe this is, double quotes refactoring because yeah, while I am making the code more it's not so much readable as I am. Yeah, so maybe refactoring maybe re-architecting is the better word, but sounds a little fancier than I wanted. Okay. So I've made that change and I've got that test passing, so I'm going to run all of the tests here. Oh, oh, interesting. Initially, servo contains no dictionary entries. Oh, okay, wait, this is that test, right? Because it didn't pass in any parameters. So this test isn't valid anymore. So I probably just should have, well, actually, since I haven't checked in the code yet, I'll just replace that first test with this one. Oops. There we go. Cool. Okay. So that's different. I wonder if there's anything else I need to change though. I want to run all my tests to see if there are any other tests that need to be updated now that I've changed that behavior. Oh, there are. Okay. So, oh, this is good. Test empty server contains no dictionary entries. Okay, there's an integration test like that. And then there's probably, okay, nice, nice, nice. So integration test. So this is not surprising, right? I start changing functionality and things start failing. So I'll just go back and fix all those. Oops. Uh, nope. And no. What am I doing? There we go. There we go. Airline IT. There we go. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to run all of these. Oh, no, tests were found? Really? Okay, I need to do Maven clean when that happens. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So here, oh yeah, connection refused. Okay, right. I got to run Jetty over here. Let's see here. I changed every time I change the servlet, I'll have to restart Jetty. Okay, so here we are. So this one, okay, I think this one is now moot. This one isn't interesting anymore. So there's no, yeah, this is invalid, and I don't think I have reasonable replacement for it right now. So let's get rid of that one. Great. And let's see here. Yeah, I just changed some code over here. And then I'll go to the project for IT. Yep. And I think this one also needs, yeah, let's see here, empty server. And let's see here. Oh yeah, this one, yeah, this one only invokes a host and a port. That one, that doesn't make any sense anymore. And as a matter of fact, I wonder if, am I there yet? Am I ready to, oh yeah, maybe I'm ready to start changing the command line. Yeah, I can do that. So here, this is like this is missing a yeah, this is missing a required argument. So I'm going to change the main. Maybe let's do that now. So instead of, there's another place where I should have renamed things, I guess. So word then just becomes airline name. Do I want? No, let's do the code. So this is airline name, and definition then becomes flight number. Flight number. And there you go. Blah, 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 blah. If host name equals null, that missing args, missing no args. And I'll have to say then else if airline name equals null, usage, missing airline name, and then return. So actually now if I run this, I should say missing airline name. Yep. Nice. Which I don't know. Do I want that in the? Yeah, sure. I'll just change that. And so this is not so much empty server as it is missing airline name. This isn't terribly interesting, but and then if just that, so standard error equals, I'll say contains string. Constrain string missing airline name. And then yeah, there won't be anything written standard out. I could assert that, but I don't really, I'm not interested. Now, if I run that test, does it pass? It does. Great. But there are other ones that are failing. Add definition. Oh, yeah. Here I need to have. Oh, yeah. Here's okay. Word. It's not word now. It's airline name. And then we'll say airline name. And then this will be, yeah, it's not definition anymore. It is add flight, flight number, add definition. This is like add flight now. Great, great, great. Okay, so this is it adds all the required parameters, and now here, Okay, yeah, it goes and gets the airline here, and then this will be okay, that'll be pretty. This I think is invalid because like I don't want to invoke that anymore. I guess I just had that as part of the dictionary test. Okay, nice. And then no definitions throws appointment book rest exception. Appointment book rest exception, that should be airline, sorry. Um, oh yeah, I suppose it should. Okay, so it's no definition, so it's really non-existent flight or non-existent airline. Non-existent airline. I spelled existent correctly. Okay, so this becomes the airline name. So this is just me sort of exploring what I want the code to look like. Um, and this is sort of like you know me. I want to get my like tests squared away first, and so I feel confident that they're sort of doing what I expect. And then when things don't go as I expect, then um, yeah, then then the right thing occurs. So actually, this one passes right now. Yeah, that one passes right now. Great. And then missing airline name, no command line arguments, remove all map. Okay, so this one looks like it's all refactored. Okay, this is good. So then, yeah, okay. So this stuff probably a lot of these changes probably should have been done that first step. I forgot to refactor, the project for IT and actually airline rest client. This one probably also needs some renaming. Oh, I'm gonna commit what I've got. Well, yeah, nah. Um, Airlines, and then define one word is add flight. So this is the airline rest client. So this will be airline name, airline test definition will be flight number, flight number, definition. Okay, this will not be definition. This will be airline. Get airline. And, you know, once we start getting through all this renaming, then I think the next phase is going to be actually providing the airline class and the airline type. But yeah, that'll be a little bogus, but we'll fix that later. Okay, empty word throws exception. Oh, this is an interesting one. So this would be like if, yeah. So this is if, this is empty airline name, I think is what I want to call their airline name. And then, oh, this isn't add dictionary entry anymore. This is add flight. Yeah, add flight. Nice. Okay, so actually we can just do a quick search. Dictionary, here we go. Oh, I guess along the way I'm also, refactoring the client. Um, right, because this is a client side test. And so then, the airline rest client has similar methods to the servlet. Let's see here. Dictionary isn't anyplace else. Word isn't. Oops. Word isn't anyplace else. Definition. Okay, it looks like I got them all here. Nice. Oh, what's that other one? So airline rest client test. I didn't change anything here. Okay. Well, anyway, sorry. Let me run all these guys again. Let's see here. I want to run it first from command line. Because I made a lot of changes, so I'm getting a little anxious. I kind of feel like I want to check in. So I want a checkpoint. This is a good checkpoint. Okay. Um, more renaming to use airline terminology. Also made the airline name parameter required for the get, the HTTP get. Okay. How are things going so far? Making sense what we're doing? Um, does everybody understand the motivation or of why I'm going through and changing all this terminology? Seeing thumbs up. Thanks. Great. Okay, let's go back into it. Let's see here. Get all dictionary entries performs issue we get with no parameters. Well, that's actually not what it does. Actually, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, this will have to change. So, oh, this will change a lot. Okay, so that one, we want, well, I'm not exactly too sure what I want that one to be. I want to say, because I don't get all dictionary entries. I think this one goes away. I'm gonna leave it there though with the dictionary again, so it's a big red flag. Oh, and this is like the only test here. So okay, yeah, we'll have to go back uh and craft a different test here. Because I think yeah, the REST client is oh, this is the unit test for the REST client. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I gotcha there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not ready to change that yet. Okay. Nice. Now, okay, so now we've done a bunch of renaming, and so now it's starting to look a little bit more like a airline application. Now I want to act like an airline application. So I'm going to go create the flight and airline classes. Now you're just going to go ahead and copy yours from your, actually I can copy it too, I suppose. Here in project, what do I got? Yeah, I've got airline and I've got flight. And so I'm just going to copy those and I'm going to paste them into here. Oh, there's airline and there's flight. This is good. I think that all compiles okay. And now I'm going to go into the servlet. Now I'm going, okay, now this is like where things are going to change a lot more because now I'm going to just replace, I'm going to start replacing things in the servlet with airlines and flights. So here, I'm going to have the airlines map to an airline. Oops, it doesn't seem to find this. What doesn't it like? Oh, yeah. Nope. Oh, I created it right here. How come it didn't find it? That's really interesting. It's probably, I wonder if you need to reload the Maven project? No, that doesn't seem right somehow. Huh, I wonder why it's not. Oh, because I put it in the integration tests directory. I didn't put it in the, I'm going to cut them out of here. I'm going to move them to here. There we go. That's why. Okay, now that should be better. Where is the server? There it is. Oh, good. Found it now. Okay. Yeah, okay. So what I did there is I pasted them into the integration test directory instead of the main directory. Okay. And so now, not surprisingly, there's lots of red over here because things don't line up. Okay, so now I'm just going to use F2 to go to the next error. Okay, so airlines put this. Okay, so here we are creating a, yep. Here we're doing in the do post. Doesn't surprise me. Uh, that this isn't okay. So they get the airline name. We're getting the flight number as a string. Sure. Airlines put this. Okay. So here is now where we need to do the following. So we need to now, we're either going to get a new airline or update an existing one. Um, so let's see here. Well, let's just do this the easy way. So I'm going to say airline. I don't want to create a new one. I'm going to say this dot airlines dot get airline name. If airline equals null, then that's where I want to, yeah, that's where I want to create, have airline be a new airline with airline name and put, yep, the airline into the airlines map. Yep, is that. Great. So now it's that this is basically saying, hey, get or create an airline. And now I just want to say airline.add flight. And I want to say new flight. And then I want to pass in, oh, I guess I gotta convert the, Yeah. I gotta convert the airline string to sorry, the flight number string to a flight number. Int flight number equals blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we won't. There we go. Flight number in the flight. And I'll create a constructor there. And I'm going to create a field for flight number. And I'm going to return it for number. Yeah, I suppose I could leave it 42 and watch some test fail later, but yeah. Everything else, though, I'm not going to implement. You all can figure that out. Okay, this is good. I'm gonna go back to my servlet. I'm sure there's other stuff that isn't oops, where's the servlet? There it is. There's other stuff that isn't working yet. Okay, so here is great, great, great. Oh, I'm gonna create a flight. Yeah, I'll leave that for the time being. Okay, so then I did this, so let's see what else is broken. Ah, right airline. Okay, so now this is okay. Oh, this is gonna be a big change. Okay. So airline, if airline's null, not found otherwise. Okay, this is where I gotta change my text dumper. Yeah, this isn't word. This should be airline name. Uh, and so now instead of word definition, it's going to dump the airline. And I'm going to change first parameter of dump to be an airline. Okay, and so this is going to start breaking all sorts of things, and that's fine. Do the following. Okay. Unknown nullability. Okay. I don't want that. Okay. Um, and so, okay, so here's just where let's just do the following. Let's say, yeah. Oops, airline is in a dictionary. It is an airline. And we'll just say airline for each. Oh, airline get flights for each. And then we'll say PW dot println. Nah. Oh, let's say what do we want here? Yeah, no, this is what we want. So flight dot I just want get number. Yeah, that's all there is. So then oh, I guess we also need the name of the airline. So PW dot println airline, not dot toString, dot get name. Okay, yeah, and then each flight will be there. Okay, so I don't need this anymore. And it's telling me three related problems. So probably all the other places that I call the dump. Okay, and so then, yep. Let's go to this one next. Oh, okay, yeah. This is a this is just a test of dumper and parser. And so then this one, yeah, this one will need some pretty serious refactoring. So let's see here. Dump and parse will take an airline and return an airline. We'll just rename this airline. And then it will take an airline and return an airline. And then, oh, again, I got to change the parser to return an airline to make, yep, parse return an airline. And now, great. Okay, so now I need to, oh, I guess I need to create an airline. Yeah, airline equals new airline, and we'll just call this airline name. And then we need to add a flight. So a flight number. And then we will add airline.add, oops, add flight, new flight number. And then we will, this will be, oops, we'll dump and parse airline. We will, we'll call that red, and we'll call that airline and assert that red dot get name equal to airline name, and we'll assert that red dot get size equal to 2. No, I don't know why it thinks that. Equal to 1, and then we'll assert that red dot get flights dot iterator dot next dot get number equal to flight number. That one's correct. And so then, right, all this is doing is making sure my text dumper and my text parser can like read and write each other. I need to go back and fix my text parser to be able to parse what I wrote in the text dumper. Um, I don't think I need that. Don't really want that. Um, airline equals null. Okay, so now I'm going to read each line of it. And so let's see here. If airline equals null, then right, then the line becomes the name of the airline. Otherwise, yeah, let's do it an else. Else, then each line contains the flight number as a string, string flight number string equals line, and then actually I don't need to do that. Airline dot add flight, new flight, and then integer dot parsent of the line. I think that'll work. This is why I write, oops, and then we'll return airline. No parsing. Oops. Oh, I'll just do that after the for loop. It goes up there. No, I need to move this up here. Oops. How did I just do? Text parser. This needs to, no, wrong button. Okay. There we go. The airline needs to be up there, so then I can return it regardless. I think that'll be okay. Yeah. While parsing airline. A very rudimentary text dumper text parser. Yours will be better, I'm sure. Okay. This one's got problems too. Okay, wow, we are all over the place. This is good. So this is like this spider web of code that we just need to go through to then change all the types. Just the same way. Let's see here. I don't think we need this one, right? We're not gonna get this. So I guess I should delete that one. So I'll fix this one next. So here, okay, get airline. This becomes the airline name. Airline name. And this returns an airline. Actually, parse, and then have this make it return an airline. Good. Okay, and then this one, I think I just need to get rid of. Yeah, that thing doesn't make any sense anymore. So here again, sort of cleaning things up, and I know it might be terribly interesting to watch and kind of hard to follow along, but the idea is they just try to get rid of all of this non-compiling code as you're changing it. But we will have the tests that'll give us some sort of feedback on things that worked and things didn't. Okay, add flight. Here's where we have the airline. Okay, this is more interesting now. Okay, so now we get the airline there, and we assert that airline.getName equal to airline name, and we assert that airline.getFlights.size equals to 1, and we assert that airline.getFlights.iterator.next.getNumber equals to flight number. Good. Notice that, I mean, this is an integration test that has a pattern very much like the unit test that we looked at a minute ago. Where now we're getting an airline, just making sure that it contains the stuff that we thought it did. Here's another one. Pre-print all dictionary entries. Oh yeah, this one. This flight number should never equal null. What does this say? Oh no, wait, it's always false. Yeah, this one. Okay. So yeah, this isn't print all dictionary entries anymore. This is, oh wait. Okay, if airline equals null. Oh yeah, saying is always false. So what should I do? Remove if statement. Nice. Okay, so if flight number equals null, then print all dictionary entries. Yeah, actually flight number. Oh, interesting. Okay, so flight number equals null. Yeah. Um, Instead of printing all dictionary entries, we should go get the airline and we should pre-print it, which I guess we do not do anyplace else. Okay. And then yeah, okay. I guess now we gotta do pretty printer. Um, pretty printer, pretty equals new pretty printer. Oh yeah, I need a writer. So this would be a new output stream writer for system.out. And then we say pretty.dump. Nope, it's gonna be airline. And we're gonna change that first parameter to airline. So this might kind of be a big one fell swoop thing in terms of like getting everything to work. Because I don't know what other changes I'm gonna make after this. Let's see here. Get the writer. Okay, great. So we're going to say, um, yeah, we're gonna say pw dot print, and we're gonna say, and we're not, oh, this isn't dictionary. It's gonna be airline. We're gonna say airline dot get name with. Let's see here. We're gonna say airline.get flights, and then we're gonna put that into a variable. Great. With flights.size flights. Now I can turn it into a print line, I guess. I don't need to have that in. Yeah, so we'll keep two of them there. And now we'll just go through, um, yeah, and then we'll just say flights dot sure. And we can say pw dot print line, and I'll just say maybe I don't know if I want that or not. Flight number this. Oh, yeah, I don't want that. Oops. There we go. And maybe or see here, I guess I don't use the same place else. Format dictionary entry. It doesn't make any sense anymore. I'll have to see how it's used. Okay. Two related problems. Where else is this used? Oh, use an airline servlet. Dumper.dump. That's not all of airlines. It's, oh wait, right out dictionary. This can go away now. I'll just go to safe delete. Yay, I'm glad that goes away. And now dictionary as text. Oh, I thought oh, it doesn't like there. Oh, this is a dictionary. That's why. So, oh yeah, this is this weirdo test. Right. Okay, this is the one that we needed to come back to. Okay, this is demonstrating the airline REST client. Okay. Now, yeah, okay, so this isn't dictionary anymore. This is going to be an airline. Okay. So then where does I get all dictionary entries? Okay, right. This is basically saying that, yeah, the airline REST client is going to. Okay. Yeah, right. So wait. So this isn't an empty string anymore. So it's not get all dictionary entries. This is going to be get. It's going to be like get airline. Let's see here. What are we looking at here? Client. There's HTTP. So get. Oh yeah, get airline. Yeah. So I'm going to need an airline name. String airline name equals airline. So I get that one. It's going to equal to, this is going to be, oh, it's not going to be n. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. And then this is going to be, I'm going to call this one fetched because I'm also going to need, so not this dictionary anymore. So this thing goes away. So this becomes airline. And then this becomes airline as text. And then, oops, airline as text. As text. Oh, interesting. Okay, so returns a response. Okay. And then this will be now an airline. And so then, I think it's worth saving these tests. You can ask yourself if if you really need these same tests or not, or if you just want to start over again. What's most important is that your tests are sufficient and that you have good code coverage. Um, I don't know. I think for me, this is just helping me understand the problem a little bit more, just to sort of remind me of all of the details. So, okay, so this airline is now this is going to turn into an airline, and it's going to be new airline with airline name. I'm going to have a flight number, and then airline dot add flight, new flight number. Okay, and so then that's going to be that. Right. So this is basically saying, hey, listen, when yeah, the HTTP when an HTTP request is done a get of now I want to have the airline servlet. Oops, the airline. Actually, is there? No, there's not a. Sorry, need to go look at the airline REST client to see if there is a. Is there a constant? Yeah, there is a. Oh no, it uses the servlet. Okay, it uses that directly. So airline servlet dot airline name parameter. Comma airline name. So this is basically saying, hey, listen, when the airline name parameter is specified, then it returns that airline. So this is basically, mocking out what the servlet would do. And then great, so the fetch is going to be get name equal to airline dot get name. And now we're gonna do the same thing we did with the flights. And now we're gonna do that's not very useful. Yeah, iterator next get get number equal to flight number. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so it's the test is still sort of doing something very similar, but now it's doing it in the language of airlines. So get airline performed HTTP get with airline number with airline name parameter. Good, good, good. Okay, now I don't even know like what's going on anymore. I need to go. It's been so long since I started navigating around. So now I'm just going to start running things to see what doesn't compile. I guess here we are in a test. Yeah, I can run. Oops, I can run this unit test. It'll probably tell me some things start compiling. Great, there's one. Oh yeah, there's message might not have been initialized. Interesting. Oh, the message has got to be something here. Print all dictionary entries. Oh, maybe this doesn't go to system.out. This goes to message. Sure. Okay. Um, yeah, we'll just do that instead. Okay, so here we are. We've got that. We'll have a string writer, and we'll just have this be, we'll write it to the string writer. And then I probably had this before, and then this is like message equals, yep, to string. Okay, that's neat. Let's try building this again. Oh, get airline. Yep, this is airline name. And this will return an airline. And okay, that's good. Build it now. Ooh, everything built. Okay, now I'll start running tests to see what breaks. Let's start running tests to see what breaks. Wasn't running a test class. Okay, unsupported operation. Oh, add flight isn't. support yet. Okay, I guess I need to add support for flights here. That would be an important thing to do. So let's see here. This dot flights dot add flight. And it's like, is it IntelliJ finally smart enough to yeah. It's like, oh, I want that. I guess that should be Gregorian calendar. It's like, no, not even close. That should be a yeah. That should be a list. Yeah, sure, of flights. So it gets it right. Not a and then equals new array list. And we'll make it final. So why is it still yellow? Oh, yeah, no requiring. And this will be a return flights. Nice. What's more with feeling? Okay, got further. What doesn't it like? Oh, expected airline, but was airline one. I bet it's just a bug in the test. Where'd airline one come from? Oh, what? I bet this is a bug in the parser. So I'm going to go back to that test where where is that test? So many things I've changed. Here we go. Text number parser test. I want to make sure this thing passes before I spend too much more time figuring it out. It does not. I bet I forgot a new line here in the text dumper or something like that. Um, text dumper. Oh, yeah, totally. There we go. This should be a print line. Good. That's happier now. And now let's go back to whatever test I was running before. I can't even remember it. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to run all the tests in this package. Run all of the unit tests. Okay, airline servo tests. Oh, add one word to dictionary. Oh, number format exception for input string test definition. Yeah, that's probably wrong. Airline servo test. Here, our is it? Oh, interesting. I guess we never fixed this one. Okay, let's go fix this one then. Um, oh, we never. Okay, that's airline name. So this was yeah. This is add flight to airline. And now this is airline name. Airline name. And then so airline name is so airline, and then definition becomes flight number, and here's where we need to give it like a real number. Okay, and then this thing. Okay. Oh, and then this will be broken down here. So here we need to go through and do our thing again of making this an airline. So we go and get it directly from the servlet, and then we're going to say airline.getName equal to airline name. And then we're going to say assert that size is, oh my gosh, AI equal to one, and then assert that. Okay, that one I got right at least. Okay, so now let's try to run this thing. Ooh, thunderstorms are coming through again. Again, I might lose electricity. It's been known to happen out here. It failed. Oh, because yeah. Okay, right, of course. This is failing because it expected the string 42, but was the number 42. And this is because flight number, this needs to be an int. Okay, so then we will just change this to be an int. And then we need to change this because the parameter, the URL parameter is always going to be a string. So we can just say string dot value of flight number. Okay, once more. Oops, compatible types. Oh, here it is. I want to fix that. To int and contract period equals true. I don't even know what that means. Why is it doing that? Okay, refactoring this changes the signature of that method, and that's going to cause a problem someplace. Juiced. Oh, this isn't word definition anymore. This is what airline name, and then this is flight number. Nice. Okay, so somewhere here, I would expect this to like, there you go. That's the flight number string. Let's change the flight number. Build this again. Nope, still doesn't like it. Say what? Oh, flight number here. Okay, here's another place where we need to change it. Yeah, we need to add when we add the flight, we really want this to be a number. So, um, and then we're just going to change this to flight number string here because this is what's passed in on the command line. Here's where we want this to be a flight number, and so then um, we'll just create that local variable here, and this will be an int, and we'll say integer parse in flight number string. That needs to be changed. I'm going to say change that to an int, and then this will not. So this is the change signature refactoring, which I guess we probably haven't seen before. This allows you to well, change the signature of a method. And so here I'm changing both the name of I'm basically doing these two refactorings in one, and IntelliJ does all this for you. So I hope you're getting a feel for like the power of an IDE to make these kinds of refactorings. It really makes refactorings possible. Trying to do this all in a text editor is very tedious. So refactor all that. Okay, that's good. So this probably needs to change now also. Yep. And now this is a string.value of byte number. I'm gonna change this a little bit to make it a little easier to read. There we go. Nice. Up to two related problems. Oh, and here is flight number, which should be oh, and and this. This one would have failed anyway. It's not one of those. And how about this one here? Oh, empty string, add flight. Well, it's called 0. Okay. By running my tests again. Oh, here's another place where, yep, we need to change this. Okay. Anyway, hey, welcome to a strongly typed language, right? You've got all these things. Let's see here. Oh, this needs to be right where we are just changing. And I think it makes sense to have this be an int, right? We were where we, yeah, I mean, ultimately we want it to be an int. And so then it just needs to be converted through strings to go to the REST API because REST APIs take strings. HTTP deals with strings. Okay. Stuff still finding more. Format dictionary entry. Oh, um, I think that test isn't valid anymore. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay, everything compiles now. Let's go back and run. Well, let's go right back and run all of our. Actually, we just go to run. Let's go to this thing again. Okay, more stuff is passing. Let's run all of our unit tests. All of our unit tests are passing. Let's run our integration tests. All of the okay, these things are failing. We're getting. Oh yeah, condition refused. Yeah, that would do it. We'll just run Jetty. Okay. Oh, that's running now. We'll run these. Oh, pretty good. Add flight. What did it get? Assertion error, string contained. Oh, yeah. Right. Okay, this is this thing. So this is not, yeah, we haven't called format dictionary entry, and this is the pretty printer, or is this no, this will be yeah, this will be the text file. Oh, no, this is pretty printer. Why is, oh, yeah, because it's invoking main. Yeah. Um, Yeah, okay. So instead of dictionary entry, oh, I don't know. No, let's just do this. Let's not worry about that. We want it to contain the airline name and we want it to contain the string value of the flight number. Yeah, I think that'll pass now. Yay. Okay. Woofed. Okay, so you see what we did here, right? First thing we did was we changed all the names of things, and now we changed the types of things. So I'm gonna do a clean verify to see how we're doing. Okay, that was successful. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so then that was a lot and that was really fast. So let me just walk through again sort of like the things that we did that we changed here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to look at the commit diffs. So, yeah, here's what we did for like how all this started, right? So we went from map the airlines being a map of string to strings to oh, we introduced the airline class. And once we started doing this, this just like rippled throughout the code base. And this is kind of what we expect, right? We're doing a major shift in like the fundamental data type of the project. And so it just really had its tendrils everywhere, which again was a lot, but not entirely unexpected. And so then here is where we had to do the logic of maintaining the map of uh, of airline names to airline objects. We had to deal with the fact that like the servlet API and the just HTTP deals with strings. And so now because we want to have an integer type for the flight number, great, we got to do some conversions back and forth. I think those are all the interesting changes there. Let's see what else we changed. Well, okay, and here we are changing some things about the tests. Again, these are just pretty much renames, although we saw this pattern a lot here, where instead of just, asserting like two strings are equal, now we have to look at the data type that was returned and make sure that all the stuff is populated correctly. And let's see here. Oh yeah, this is our flight class. This is some changes to messages. So anyways, you can see, yeah, there's a lot of things. Oh, we've got an unused import right here. Nope. Let's see here. Okay. Oh no, I bet it's like slow down, you talk too fast, you walk too fast. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Is it
you're
feeling
going so
groovy?
quick.
Yeah. Sorry, I sort of like get in the
You're in the zone for sure.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Focused.
and actually, I'm really glad you pointed that out though, because the reason I'm able to go so fast, and the reason that like my fingers and my code can keep up with my brain is because of IntelliJ, right? You saw, I mean, I hope you got an appreciation. Oh, I hope you saw, and I hope you realize that I'm using all these tools, right? I'm not writing all the code myself. I'm basically having IntelliJ do all the heavy lifting of renaming, of of moving code around, of creating new methods that need to exist, or and you saw the code completion and that that was happening there because of with then AI trying to be helpful, which it was more than half the time. But it's true. It did go by really fast. Um, and but I think now let's just take a step back and look at some of the changes that we had to do here. And again, it's all along the lines of changing the types of things and then the implementation of things to deal with different data types. So now, actually, there's some dead code here. So the stuff that is gray or like code that's not used anymore, I'm gonna use IntelliJ to delete this stuff for me. I don't need it. It's keeping things clean. It's nice. Got an unused import now. I can remove that. Yep. Oh yeah, and here are okay. And so then I had to make a bunch of changes on the client side too. And not just like renaming. I had to realize that, oh yeah, right, because the APIs for the REST client now do things like are speak the airline language. So they get airlines, or that when you create a flight or you add a flight, then it takes an int here. And so I had to convert all of that stuff. Wow, the rain just came through and it got like 15 degrees colder. It's actually pleasant for the first time today. Yeah, also thunder and lightning. Anyway, it's the rage of nature. So yeah, and again, more examples of using types other than strings, and the fact that some of the code requires it to be an int, and other times it requires what we're looking for is is a string. Yeah, so I have to admit, that's kind of it. So I mean, I think we've got all of the code converted. I'm trying to think. So I'm going to check all this stuff in. So big changes to use airline and flight objects instead of map of stream of strings. And so I'm trying to think, like we've got tests that pass. We've got code compiles, we've got tests that pass. I think for right now, I don't know if there's anything else that I really need to add for this very basic functionality. Um, back again to the requirements that we talked about at the beginning of class. I think we're well on our way to then having an application that speaks the language of airlines and flights as opposed to the dictionary. And that's really what the goal of this exercise was, is to take, code from one domain and really start moving it towards the intended domain, which is the airlines and the flights. So, as was pointed out, yep, that was really fast, and that was a lot. But is there more I can tell you? Is there anything that you'd like to follow up on? Is there anything that you'd like to explore a little bit further?
I mean, I guess for a more complicated code base, you kind of just jumped into it, because you're. Uh,
Well,
but I
yeah.
mean, wouldn't it? For example, yesterday I was reviewing how I could support the AM PM without
Mhm.
changing much code at all. And turns out, well, we could just still store all the data as date time and just do extra pattern printing to avoid just breaking my whole set of tests. And so you kind of just jumped right into this example, but is there a point where you would just look at like a short architecture diagram and then make a decision
Yeah,
there?
that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I think I've done this exercise before, so yeah, I guess I kind of knew where to start. I think for me though, uh, again, the first thing that I did was I just started changing the names of things just to get it, just familiarize myself with the terminology to, for me, that mapped the dictionary domain to the airline domain. And I didn't do that with, I didn't change the type system yet. Instead, what I changed was just the naming. And I found that that was a good way to explore what needed to change. And it actually became kind of natural when it's like, oh yeah, look, here's something that, instead of getting a definition, it gets an airline now. Okay. And then I started feeling more confident about then when I in sort of the second pass where I changed all the types, I sort of knew what to expect. And like as I was looking at the unit tests, there were some unit tests that very easily mapped to the new domain, and the other ones were like, well, this doesn't make any sense anymore. I should get rid of it. So I mean, I think that's my approach, and I would take a similar approach. I have taken similar approaches to refactoring large existing code bases. Now, normally you don't do what we did tonight. It's not like you have a code base with one like domain and you change it completely to a different domain. But there are lots of times, like we saw with the refactoring kata, the Gilded Rose kata, where yeah, you're adding new types, you're taking, this chunk of code and moving it to a different class, and you got to start, going from like, a typeless system where everything's a string to actual objects. I think that that's when, yeah, I mean, I recommend that you just sort of start down the path and see what happens. It's a nice thing about Git, right? It's like if you aren't happy with a refactoring, it's easy to undo. Nice. Thanks for asking. I think I can tell folks. Okay. That's the primary thing I wanted to cover tonight. Again, feel free to take this code um, and just move it into your own project if you want. If you want to go through a similar refactoring exercise to get experience, that's cool and fine too. Um, if you want to, go back and look at the Git history and get all the renaming first, or the first commit where everything was green, but the new types haven't been added, you can go through that also. But um, yeah, you can decide how much this you want to explore on your own. Let's see here. Other than that, I want to highlight what's coming next week. So next week is about mob programming. Um, the way Monday is going to work is actually the first thing we're going to do is we're gonna make sure the tools work for us for Android. Um, most people that I'm sure your system is sufficient to run Android, but in case you don't have a because unlike okay, sorry, the Android requires a tool called Android Studio, which is basically IntelliJ with Android features, and I want to make sure that it runs on whatever development machine you use, your laptop or your home desktop or whatever. So we're going to take a few minutes on Monday to sort of just start exploring Android. We're not going to be coding Android until the week after, but I want to do a sanity check and make sure that everybody's got an environment that they can develop an Android application in. So we're going to do that on Monday, and then we're going to go through a an operating theater activity for mob programming, just like we did for pair programming. So as you may remember, this is me there in the mob. I'll be coding with well, probably all of you. Um, in one mob. It'll be interesting because I anticipate that many people will be remote. If you are inclined to come into class on Monday, that would be cool. But otherwise, feel free to be remote. Actually, let me know. I'll ping you again over the weekend. I mean, if anybody is coming into class, good. I don't know. I'm also on vacation next week, so I might. If no one else is going to be there in the classroom, I might not bother coming in either. Actually, no. Well, maybe yes. I don't know. I got to be in anyway. Um, and anyway, it's gonna be Monday. That'll be good. That'll get you prepped for next Wednesday, which is our first mob programming activity. That one is in person. Please attend in person. Bring an HDMI adapter so that you can plug into the projectors in the classroom. Yeah, and so then I'm really curious to hear about your observations of mob programming, how it compares with your experiences pair programming. It'll be some good learning. Oh, that is there anything else?
Have you actually done a mob programming session at work?
Oh, I have. Yeah. Actually, we did
How did
more
that at
mobbing than we
work?
did pairing. It went really, I was very pleased with the results for the first time. I mean, we were like all in person in the, because we don't have an office anymore. And so we found another place to do it. And actually that worked well. And I found that um, it really helped amplify learning and learning on a couple of dimensions. One was, uh, we did deliberate mob programming because we were doing some stuff in the code base that some people on the team had never done, and other people had been years since they had worked in that part of the code. And we all agreed that we wanted everybody to be able to do it. So we didn't want to have, one person with a lottery factor. So, we all kind of learned it together via mobbing, and that was really effective. The other thing that was fascinating is that, I got to see members of my team code, and we got to see people's environments. And some people are like, oh, I develop on Windows. Other people develop on Linux. And oh, look, and they had like different tools and different techniques. And there were some things that like people were struggling with, where it's like, oh yeah, this particular thing about like my IntelliJ doesn't work. And I'd like figure out, okay, yeah, what's different about your environment versus other people's environments where it does work. And so then, I think it was again, it was very effective and very useful as we were learning new things. Um, and I think we might see some similar learnings here. Where just like with pairing, great, you got two people that are learning together. Well, now we'll have, all eight of us working and learning together, which I think will be interesting.
You didn't have any VI or Vim purists in your
No,
programming.
yeah, there was a time where I think we had someone who like, oh, I wanted to do Emacs, and I think even before that person left, he had said, okay, yeah, no, I see the refactoring tools, I understand this is faster, I was more effective. It's like, okay, good. Yeah, no. And, the reality is like when you work on really big code bases, as far as like day-to-day development of the software, um, you know, you're at a disadvantage if you don't know your tools, if you don't have the tools, help you do the heavy lifting. Especially something like refactoring, which is honestly pretty tedious to do by hand. I think it's a great example of where automation can help. Of course, now there's generative AI and there's AI coding assistants and stuff that are a completely different dimension. And actually, it's not nowhere nearly as deterministic. And so then there's a lot more variability about, or at least there's much more uncertainty in terms of the exact outcomes. But, hey, the tools, yep, um, automate the things that are good for automating, like code refactoring, like code navigation, like, building the project, having that all be a very quick experience, because those are the things that give you feedback and let you know inform you of the quality of the changes you've just made, the code, the work you've just done.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I talked for a long time tonight, but we're done pretty early, so sorry there wasn't a break, but I'll let you get back to your evenings. I will do the same. I'm looking forward to looking at your project twos that were due tonight. I saw a couple come in before class. Thanks. I'll do a sanity check on any ones that I see. If there's something that I need you to know about, I will let you know. Otherwise, I'll try to get those graded by Saturday at noon. And then also, oh yeah, yeah, boy, I got lots of homework to do. Okay, yeah, so grading the quiz and also looking at the reflections. Great. I'm really looking forward to hearing about your experiences pair programming. In the meantime, please ask questions on Slack. I appreciate the engagement, and lets me know how people are finding the assignments, and also just to make sure that everybody is on their way. As you probably figured out, yep, this is the point of the course where like lots of stuff is all happening at the same time, lots of things to keep track of. That's on purpose. It's a good skill to have, be able to balance multiple things. I want to make sure you can get some practice at it. So let me know how it goes. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And I hope to see all of you during class time on Monday. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.
Bye now.